So, canned foods. I know what you're thinking. You've probably heard that fresh is always best, and anything that comes in a can is basically processed garbage, right? Well, I used to think the same thing until I actually dove into the research, and honestly, I was pretty surprised by what I found. Today, we're going to talk about whether canned foods are actually healthy, what you should be buying, and what you need to avoid. Because here's the truth. Some canned foods are absolute nutrition powerhouses, while others, yeah, they're basically sodium bombs in disguise. The surprising truth. Let's start with something that might blow your mind. A study published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine found that people who regularly eat canned fruits and vegetables actually consume more essential nutrients than those who don't. I know, right? That sounds completely backwards. But here's the thing. Canned foods are typically processed within hours of being harvested, which means they're locked in at peak nutritional value. Fresh produce, on the other hand, can lose up to 50% of some vitamins during transport and storage. A tomato sitting in your fridge for a week? It's lost a significant amount of its vitamin C. A canned tomato? Pretty much the same as the day it was picked. The University of California, Davis did this fascinating comparison and found that canned pumpkin had higher levels of vitamin A than fresh. And canned tomatoes actually had more bioavailable lycopene. That's the antioxidant that's great for heart health, because the heating process during canning breaks down the cell walls and makes it easier for your body to absorb. The real concerns. Now, before you rush out and fill your cart with every can you see, let's talk about the legitimate concerns. The biggest issue? Sodium. And I mean, this is a real problem. Some canned soups contain over 800 milligrams of sodium per serving. And let's be honest, who actually eats just one serving of soup? The American Heart Association recommends no more than 2,300 milligrams per day, ideally moving toward 1,500. If you're eating multiple canned foods throughout the day without checking labels, you could easily blow past that limit before dinner. Then there's BPA, Bisphenol A. This is a chemical that's been used in the lining of cans, and studies have linked it to hormone disruption, increased risk of certain cancers, and cardiovascular issues. The good news is that many manufacturers have phased it out, but not all of them. A 2016 study found that BPA was still detectable in the urine of 96% of people tested, with canned foods being a significant contributor. And hey, if you're finding this information useful so far, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm show this video to more people who might be wondering the same things about their pantry staples. What to buy? All right. So what should you actually be buying? Let me walk you through the winners. First up, canned fish. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, these are incredible. They're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, which are crucial for brain health and reducing inflammation. A study in the Journal of Nutrition found that people who ate canned fish twice a week had a 23% lower risk of heart disease. Plus, with canned salmon, you're often eating the bones, which means you're getting a massive calcium boost. We're talking about 180 milligrams of calcium in just 3 ounces. Canned beans are another winner. Black beans, chickpeas, kidney beans. These are fiber powerhouses. 1 cup of canned black beans gives you 15 grams of fiber and 15 grams of protein. They're cheap, they're convenient. And research from the Journal of the American College of Nutrition shows that people who eat beans regularly have lower body weight and better metabolic health. Just make sure you rinse them first. Studies show that rinsing canned beans can reduce sodium content by up to 40%. Tomatoes and tomato products? Absolutely buy them canned. Like I mentioned earlier, the lycopene is actually more bioavailable in canned tomatoes. A meta-analysis in the journal Neurology found that higher lycopene intake was associated with a reduced risk of stroke. And canned pumpkin is pure magic for your gut health. Tons of fiber, vitamin A, and it's so versatile. What to avoid? Now let's talk about what you should leave on the shelf. Canned soups and broths are usually the worst offenders for sodium. I've seen some with 500 milligrams in a single can. If you're buying these, look for low sodium or no salt added versions. Better yet, make your own and freeze it in portions. Canned fruits and heavy syrup. Just know you're basically getting fruit swimming in sugar water. A study in the Journal of the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics found that people who regularly consumed fruit in syrup had higher instances of metabolic syndrome. If you're buying canned fruit, get it in water or its own juice. Canned pasta meals, like those ravioli, or spaghetti products marketed to kids? They're loaded with sodium, added sugars, and refined carbs with virtually no nutritional value. A typical can contains more sodium than a bag of potato chips, and about as much sugar as a candy bar. Practical tips. Here's what I do personally. I always look for cans labeled BPA-free or brands that use alternative linings. I check the sodium content and try to stay under 200 milligrams per serving when possible. For things like beans and vegetables, I always go for no salt added versions. You can always add your own salt and seasonings, but you can't take it out once it's there. Another pro tip: don't store acidic foods like tomatoes in the can after opening. The acid can react with the metal. Transfer leftovers to a glass container. And seriously, rinse everything unless it's fish or something where you want to keep the liquid. That simple rinse makes a massive difference. Look, canned foods aren't the enemy. They're actually a smart, economical way to keep nutritious food in your pantry year-round. The key is being selective. Stock up on canned fish, beans, tomatoes, and pumpkin. Skip the soups loaded with sodium, the fruits and syrup, and the processed pasta meals. Read your labels, look for low sodium and BPA-free options, and don't be afraid to rinse. The research shows that when chosen wisely, canned foods can absolutely be part of a healthy diet. They reduce food waste, they're budget-friendly, and they can provide serious nutritional value. It's all about knowing what to look for. If this video helped you make better choices at the grocery store, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. I cover nutrition, health, and cutting through all the confusion out there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.